I've given back all your work. Now, this is just a preliminary score that you will receive. I will have to say some of you, I think, did a very good job. Some of you, there's some work to be done. Huh? Now, those of you who did a good job, I'm not sure you want to resubmit because I think uh, oh yeah, yes, okay. Those of you did a good job. Actually, there are, if I remember correctly, I mentioned that you should use either a minimum of 3 different papers, correct? I think I mentioned the minimum you should use for your content analysis or your secondary data is maybe you take from 3 to 5 sources. So I need those who uh, did that. Please add one more journal. Most the people who, I mean, the students who did well only did 2 journals. I need you to look at 3 journals. Now, those of you who didn't do so well or that needs to rewrite, your issue was you either weren't very organized or you didn't write enough and you didn't mention the journals or the secondary data sources that you were taking. All right, so you need to mention them or write them in an organized manner. Those who did really bad, it's not that you were bad, but you missed out. Your submission was incomplete. Okay, can you see it on screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you see, Dana used to introduce her journals that she will use. In the introduction was she's going to use exhibit A, exhibit B. There should be an exhibit C. Okay, that's the only thing wrong with your paper. You missed out the third one. Okay, so Dana, please take note. Okay, so you introduce right there. So by you doing this, you tell me that you are going to look at this 3 or 2 particular journals for your content analysis. That's why I like it. Okay, and from your sample or your sample size or your sampling method, you wrote it each paper. You talked about the type of sampling that they use, and you see for exhibit A, they use convenience sampling method, while exhibit B use convenience sampling method. So that's correct. I mean, you explain that what type of sampling method they used. Okay, usually the paper will say something about the sampling method that is used, and that's why this is what I want you to do in your sections in your chapter 3, to basically explain or to pull out the data from the different journals that you'll be using for your content analysis. So as I mentioned before, it's 3 different journals. So this one here only has 2, so you need to add another one. All right, then the research design. All right, you see the first sentence, it says research design, it will use a mixed method, and explain what mixed method is. Mixed method is a combination of quantitative and qualitative data. Now, most of you did not add that statement, whether it's a quantitative or qualitative data that you will be using, or you're using a mixed method. And that's why when you see the comment, you need to explain your research design, is because you're lacking a sentence or 2 telling me whether the design that you're using is quantitative or qualitative or both. Okay, so and then you organize it by describing the research design in your first journal and as well as the second journal. Okay, and then the research instrument, again, you separated the research instrument for exhibit A. You say it will conduct the experiment using the first generation HTC. It tells me that this person will be using a case study. All right, even though you didn't say here, you should state that it's a case study or whatnot. But what you're showing here is you're talking about the instruments that will be used within the study. Okay, and that's exactly what I want. Okay, so then you give different software that is being used. for exhibit A, and then later on you talk about the exhibit B and so on and so forth. So this is basically tells me that these are the kind of things that will be used, or these are the software that will be used in this particular experiment. Okay, and so you go on, and then you continue here with the survey that we use and how the survey is created. Okay, this is a for exhibit A and exhibit B. All right, then exhibit B now. That's now exhibit A. So you've explained the research instruments that are used, how the questionnaires and all that, the data collection. Okay, you re-summarize it. You use using exhibit A and will be using series of surveys and questionnaire. Exhibit B will also be conducting using a series of survey and questionnaire. And then implementation, you explain how it is done, and then you give a summary. Now, the only thing is, I hope your similarity index will be low, meaning please make sure it's such a good paper, such a well-written chapter. Please make, I'm hoping that you wrote it all on your own. If you did, fantastic. Okay. And but I wanted a minimum of 3 articles. Okay, so good. If I give you 7, it's because you only wrote 2 articles. I need you to write 3. Okay. So Dana, that's my comment for you. Chapter 4, I hope you understand just now about synthesizing. Okay. But if you see the way Dana did it for chapter 3, you should do the same for chapter 4, but looking at different parts of the journal. You understand? So your chapter 3 and 4 should be okay if you follow the same format. If you're doing observation, it is definitely a qualitative work, your qualitative design. If you're doing observation and survey, more than likely that's a mixed method, because the survey itself is quantitative. Your observation is qualitative, so you have 2. So your research design must be only 3 at your level: qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. So you have to identify them. Qualitative means anything that doesn't use numbers. Quantitative means quantity, anything that use numbers. Okay.
So qualitative is put on the sampling part, sampling.
No, qualitative you put as research design.
Design. Okay.
Yes. That your research design is a qualitative design. Your research instrument is observation, and you use photographs in your observation as data, as proof of your observation, which is what you're doing, correct?
Yeah.
Then you just tell me what the sampling method, how do they select? If this guy is taking pictures of people, how do they select the people they take pictures? Is it because he's doing all women, or he's doing all Chinese women, or he's doing all tall women? You know, that kind of selection. Okay. And does he just take anyone that comes by, or he said, okay, I count to 3, and whoever's in front of me, I take a picture. I count to 3 again, whoever's in front of me, I count a picture. That is more random. You understand?
But that detailed part is explained in the data collection method, right?
That data that is explained in the sampling method section.
Sampling method. Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
But don't forget in your introduction to tell me, if you're using whatever journal or source, what those source of data is. That at least I know you're taking from source A, source B, source C. You understand? Okay. That's what I mean. Sir, I'm doing an observation on it in space itself, not people. How should I say the sampling? Okay. If that's the case, how are you choosing the space? May I ask? How are you choosing the space? What's that? How are you choosing the space, Farah? Is there a specification to the space that you will use? I'm going to visit LRT stations in KL. Okay, in KL. So your sampling is KL. How many LRT stations you're going to visit in KL? Any LRT station, or all LRT stations beginning with the word M, or any LRT station near your house? Just one. So you're using, why did you choose that LRT station in the first place? Or somebody's mic is on. Well, how are you choosing that? Why are you choosing the LRT station in the first place? Is it because near your house? If it's near your house, then it is called convenient sampling. It's nearest to you. It's the most convenient for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, I choose KL because universal design is inclusive of everyone, and KL station is connected to a lot of other railway stations, so it has a lot of users. That's why I'm choosing that, so I can study the space for a bigger audience.
When you say KL MRT station, is it a specific stop? Because KL is so big. KLCC is a stop. There's one in Pudu. You know, they're all under KL. See, so how are you choosing that KL station?
Um, I'm choosing like the KL Central LRT station
Yeah,
specifically.
okay. So then you just put you suggest that you are doing targeted sampling. Targeted sampling means you are choosing that particular sample. So if say I am doing something that involves all lawyers, so I only pick lawyers. That means I'm targeting sampling lawyers. Pardon? Hello?
Okay.
Okay. So you want to lead up something called targeted sampling.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Joshua, are you is it okay for you?
Me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all right, huh? Okay.
Yeah. Because
So
what I'm doing also almost the same as with Farah because I'm also stationed. So yeah.
but you must ask yourself, why are you selecting that station? Is it because near your house? Is it because
no, because same reason. It's more populated and more users can be found there.
Okay, then you say it's a targeted place as well, because of all the reasons that you stated.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right. And so since my research will be focused on two specific groups, like students and workers, is it something? What are you doing with these students and worker? Are you comparing both of them? These both groups? Okay. Now, when you say students, again in MRT station? Okay. So when you when you see a group of people in MRT station, do you have a specific student in mind, or any student should be okay? It's all right. That's the age group. But any secondary student, any university student, then it's called random sampling. You're choosing a random, your data collection is random sampling because you're just choosing anyone that comes your way, you see. And you don't, there is no specific, so whoever walks you by, you choose him. So it's very random. Okay. And I hope that's same for the worker. Huh? So you just consider random sampling for both. Okay. Any other questions?
So for the sampling, like myself, I use case study. So case study sampling is because the case study is not is because I'm using the case study for universal design. So I look at multiple uses or practical use of case study.
Okay. When you say case study, that case study hopefully is from a journal, correct?
Yeah, it's from a journal.
Okay. When you read that journal, I am sure that person will mention the sampling method. And
yes,
then you, okay.
but I look at multiple case, different kind of case study, because the general, there's a multiple, there's
Oh, yeah.
two general that I look at the case study.
No, so then you like what Dana did. When you talk about journal A, you use random sampling. When you talk about journal B, you use maybe targeted sampling. You see, it depends what the journal says, lah.
Oh, okay.
So you just report what the journal says or your case study reports.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. Let's see. Isn't convenient assisted sampling also a type of random sampling? No. Random sampling is you choose people or participants randomly. Means if say you go to a store, you say, okay, if I turn to the if I see the people in store, whoever is there, all right, who is maybe a teenager, okay, and the teenager must be within the age of this and that, I will select that one. Then I'll go to another store and I'll do the same for that store, and then I'll turn left to go another store, so that you are just randomly walking to stores and picking any person there. Okay. Convenience sampling is when you walk into one store and just say, yeah, all the people in here cukup lah. You understand? You're just taking what's most convenient for you. But there is something called random selection. Random sampling and random selection is slightly different. Random sampling is you sample the participant randomly, whereas random selection, for example, I walk into this design class, there's 30 of you, and I'm going to pick from just the 30 of you because it's convenient to me. But random sampling could be, okay, whoever calls my name, I pick one. So let's see in the class who calls my name, and you're it lah. So I randomly select you. Now you're going to very detailed already. You don't need to do for your level. Just give me those keywords: random sampling, targeted sampling, convenient sampling, cukup lah. Okay. But when we go into like PhD level, then we go into this kind of level to discuss.